Hello, my name is Robin Anderson, and today I'm going to tell you my lessons learned and how I passed the PMP. First, a little bit about me. I am now a PMP. I'm also a certified problem and change manager, and I'm an MCCT. That means I'm a modern classroom certified trainer. So I have been certified to deliver content either to children or to adults in a virtual format. All right. So I told you that I was going to go through my lessons learned, and I think it's really, really important for someone who's recently taken the exam to take some notes, to do a little bit of self-reflection so that they can help other people pass. The first thing I want to let you know is that my journey was far from perfect. In fact, I actually took the exam twice. I did not pass the exam my first time. As you all may know by now, the exam recently changed. If you've already started to study for the current exam, I have a great video that's going to help you use the current 49 processes and cross those over to the 3 new domains. I also want to let you know that you can take your exam either at home or you can take it at a Pearson VUE center. That may be something you may want to consider. Kind of take a look. I know that in December, people that were taking the exam virtually, there was a lot of chatter about unexpected things happening, so don't hesitate to take the exam in person if you feel more comfortable doing that. I will also tell you that one of the biggest mistakes I made when preparing for the exam is I actually took too deep of a dive. Obviously now that's why I'm talking about it, but I really do believe that if you study 2 hours a day, no more than 6 days a week, you can pass this exam in a 6-week period. I really, really do believe that. And if you've already taken the exam, I recommend retaking the exam within a very short amount of time. I'm tempted to say I recommend retaking the exam like within 3 weeks. If you have taken a boot camp, schedule your exam. I personally believe, just based on my experience after I went to my boot camp and advice that I got from my vendor when I enrolled in the boot camp, is that you really should be taking the exam within 5 working days after the boot camp, and that's really for your cognitive memory. You're going to recall more from that boot camp, even if you don't realize it, if you schedule your exam immediately following the boot camp. And my vendor was a huge help to me with this. I will share with you that I was on the phone with her. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was overexhausted. I had overstudied. I was overprepared. I felt like I wasn't retaining anything. And I remember calling her and kind of telling her what my concerns. She mentioned that she was running a boot camp. It was something that I could add on to the program that I already had, and I decided to do so. And then I made a comment like, this is perfect, and then I'll take the exam 5 or 6 weeks after that, and the exam date was already scheduled. And she told me to move my exam date. In fact, I listened to her, and she told me to move the exam date to immediately follow the boot camp, and I did. I am so thankful that I listened to her. I didn't think about it. I was on the phone with her, and I just did it. I did reschedule that exam. I have years of experience in adult learning, and even I, in that situation, had forgotten that it's really key that you take the exam after taking that deep of a dive. Now, If you took your boot camp ages ago, don't fret. The weekend, what I recommend personally is the weekend before your exam, create your own cyber boot camp. If you have access to the videos from the boot camp, and if you don't have them, take a YouTube dive or just a 4 or 5 hours, both the Saturday and Sunday before your exam. Pencil it in on your calendar now. Really try to do your best to give rewatching your boot camp or rewatching some key videos your full attention. And if your mind does wander, it's going to be okay. There is some science that says even if you're kind of paying attention, you are retaining more than if you wouldn't have looked at it at all. The day before the exam, don't do anything. Stay home. If you're taking the exam on a Monday, begin to rewatch those boot camp videos on a Friday. And if you're taking a live boot camp prior to the exam, that's great. Relax that Sunday evening afterwards and don't do any simulated questions. I cannot emphasize that enough. I thought I was going to go straight out of this boot camp and into some simulated questions, and my scores the day before taking the exam on the simulators were the worst I'd ever seen them. I was just exhausted. It's really, really important that you allow yourself time to rest. So if you are taking the exam, for instance, on a Tuesday, on that Monday, I don't recommend going to work. I recommend taking the day off. Make sure it's a full rest day, right? When you wake up, grab a mimosa or an Irish coffee, stay in your pajamas and binge watch Netflix or play board games with your kids. Feel your Candy Crush addiction. You've spent so much time preparing for this exam. I'll also give you a little tidbit. Professional athletes, specifically professional boxers, the night before a fight are more likely to be playing board games or watching Netflix than they are continuing to train. Your body needs rest. Well, they probably do it without the cocktail. Get a mani-pedi, take a spa day. It's your day to relax. You've worked hard the last several weeks, months, maybe even a year, and you deserve that rest. I recommend practicing with as many situational questions as you can. Ideally, if you've invested in a simulator, at least 1,000 questions. I actually personally recommend maybe having content from more than one person when it comes to simulators, just so that you have the advantage of seeing the way other people write. There are some simulators out on the market right now that are very, very good values. And the more questions you take, the more likely you're going to pass the exam. What can be even more than important than working with those situational questions is understanding the why behind a question is wrong. So what I recommend doing is I recommend taking the time to document those incorrect answers. Use a Microsoft Word table or Excel, have a column for your topic, the question, your answer, the correct answer, and why. This is something that I really didn't start doing until I didn't pass the exam the first time. You should actually take more time understanding why an answer is wrong than you do taking simulators. And I would almost recommend, what I personally like is I like the simulators that allow you to see your answer right away. That way I was able to take that dive right away. The other thing that I recommend doing is if you're taking a simulator and a word or a phrase or a process doesn't look familiar to you, there's no harm in you going back and looking at your materials. Open PMBOK, get your lexicon of terms. Go and get the information that you need to answer that question correctly. You're in your home. There's no reason why not to do the research. And if you do, you'll find that because you went and researched the answer in order to answer the question, you're more likely to remember that. So that is something I very strongly recommend. I also recommend that as you're practicing what you're going to do with your brain dump, and the Pearson VUE whiteboard is available for you to practice on, have your brain dump open as part of your process to go through these simulated questions. That way you can continue to revise your brain dump based on what you know your knowledge gaps are. The other thing that I recommend is if you've guessed an answer and you guessed correctly, write it down. Just almost as if you got it wrong. So if you've guessed, you're surprised that the answer is correct, I honestly think that that means that you should write it down as if that was wrong. So again, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I want to congratulate you. I know you're going to pass the exam in 2021. There is no time like the present. Again, my lessons learned. Definitely look for the help that is available to you. Contact your local PMI chapter. They can connect you to some great resources, maybe even a tutor or a mentor. Join a study group. Pay attention to those freebies. There are some great content out there from many, many vendors. And even though I chose a vendor, and I'm very, very proud that I chose the vendor I did, I still chose to get content from other people. That is completely okay. I will say that a lot of vendor videos are talking about the 49 processes. They're talking about the ITTOs. I think that that's very beneficial information to learn. But the most important thing you can do is go to the PMI website, download your copy of PMBOK 6, and that's going to come with your Agile guide, and really take a look at that Agile guide. The Agile guide is written in a very different style than PMBOK. It's intentionally written with sidebars, and it's going to be easier and more comprehensive to read. The writing style has changed, and it's intentional. The exam is going to have a lot of Agile questions. I did not take the 2021 exam, but this is what I understand from reading that ECO, the exam content outline from PMI. So again, my journey wasn't perfect. If you've taken the exam before and you didn't pass, I've got some videos on how you can take your exam analysis and be prepared to pass in 2021. If you are looking for a study group, you're not able to find one, definitely leave me a message. I do host a study group every Wednesday at 8:30. I even offer one-on-one tutoring. So again, I want to thank you for watching this video. There will be more. Please subscribe.